Hey everyone, welcome to our Blender Beginner series. So this whole series is broken up into 6 different chapters. So in chapter 1, we'll look at how to do all the modeling, so taking basic primitive shapes inside Blender and creating more complex 3D assets. And then chapter 2, we'll have a look at how to UV unwrap all of our models so that we can take it into texturing, which we'll cover in chapter 3. Then chapter 4, we'll look at our lighting and our cameras before we start looking at some surface imperfections. And then finally, we'll do rendering and compositing. So there are some resources that you need to download to be able to follow along. So if you click the link in the description of the video, you will find all the reference images we use to actually model everything. There's also a file of all the custom decals I've created that you can use inside the scene, and there's also an ebook that talks through the whole process as well, so you can either follow along to the videos or you can follow along to the ebook as well. It covers the same things. If you've got any questions about anything as you're going through it, leave a description comment in the video that you're struggling with, and I'll get back to you. Hello everyone, welcome back to part 7 of our beginner Blender course. So we've slowly started to add more things to our scene. So let's add like a little fizzy drinks can we're going to add here. And then we've got 2 or 3 more little things that we're going to model. So again, press the key that's just above the tab key. So we snap to the front, Shift A to add, image and reference image. And then I have got a can reference here. S to scale it down, G to bring it over. Remember, with it selected, come to the properties panel, go to data, check opacity and just bring it down a little bit. So we know the diameter needs to be 6.62 centimeters. So go Shift A, mesh, let's do a cube, bring it over, and we're going to do Z, not Z, sorry, X is 6.62 centimeters. There we go. Press N to close the menu, and then all we're going to do is use that just to scale our reference image down to the right sort of size, like that. Delete that original cube. Just to check this is the right sort of size, we'll bring it over onto our table so we get an idea. That looks like it will be about right. Let's bring that back over to where it was. Okay, so it's not too dissimilar to how we modeled the spray paint can, actually, but a few other extra little tricks as well. So like before, let's Shift A, mesh, and start with a cylinder. Shift Z to go to X-ray mode, and just S to scale that down and bring it into position. Something like that. Now remember, we played around with the scale of it, so we need to make sure we do Control A to apply all transforms. I'm going to grab that reference image with G and just move it back in the Y axis. Shift Z to go to X-ray mode, Tab to go to edit mode, 1 to go to vertex mode, G to grab, and Z. Then we'll do E, Z. Scale that like that. Do the same up here. G to grab, E, S, and then we'll do E like that. So we've got a rough sort of shape of the can. So what we want to do is add the lip that we need to add to our cans. So we'll do Control R, and do an edge loop along here. And then we can select that by pressing Alt and in face mode, Alt E, extrude along normals. Then before we do that, what we're going to actually do is bring that up a little bit, then E to bring it down so it's straight. That's what we want. Now I'm going to go to Alt, select that, Alt E, extrude along normals, just to extrude that out just a little bit. So we've got that little lip. And then what we're going to do is I to inset, G, Z to bring up a little bit, I to inset, G to bring up a little bit, X to delete the faces, and remember, face, grid fill, but we've added it to our quick favorites, so we can do that. Same to the top. What we want to do is grab here, Alt E, and bring out the lip a little bit like that. Now at the top here, what we're going to do, hit I to extrude, E to come down, like that. So we've got the basic shape of our can. We're going to add some supporting edges again like before. So we want to make sure we come in edge mode, hold on Alt, select these edges. I'm going to do Control B That's going to be quite small. Let's do 0.2, like that with 2 segments. And we'll come up here and do the same up here as well. I'm going to grab Control Shift and Alt, Control B, and do 0.2 like that. Now we've got this extra edge here. We can just X and dissolve edge because we don't need that edge there. And then let's just bevel this edge, give it a little bit of shape like that. Let's just check how it's looking. So we're going to go to modifiers, generate and subdivision surface, shade smooth. So we need to make sure we also add some supporting edges here as well. So let's do that. Generate subdivision surface, shade smooth. And there we have our can shape. In fact, we might even grab both those edges, Control B, and do a much smaller segment like that. That's how it looks. There, I think that probably looks a little bit better, a bit more pronounced, like that. We're also going to want to grab edge along here as well. Control B. Like that. So that's the shape of our can done. So we do want to make sure we've got the top part as well. So let's come to the top. Before we come to the top, sorry, I'm going to take this. We're going to rotate this X 90. Come to the top. Let's move our can into position. Like that. And G and Z will move that down. So we've got this face here. So what I'm actually going to do is, first of all, P to separate by selection, just so it's a separate piece. And I'm going to grab that top piece and this and just / just to isolate it. So we can just play with just this bit for now. So I'm going to press I to inset. So we got that shape there. And this is where we're going to use 1 to go to vertex mode and just start to grab these vertices and line it up with the outline of the indent of this can. Working your way around. Like that. Now we're going to go and mirror half it to make sure that it's all right. So we can grab these edges here, Shift S, cursor to selected, set origin to 3D cursor, and we're going to modifier, do mirror. And then we won't apply it just yet, just while we're modifying it. So if you keep it still there, if you modify it while it's still not applied, it will update the other side live at the same time, which is really good. Once we're done, I'm going to go to apply, like that. Then what we're going to do, let's go to edge mode, we go to fill, let's go to I to inset, and E to bring it down, and then I to inset it again a little bit, like that. So we've now got this. So if we go to generate subdivision surface, we've got that lip for our can, like this. So we then just need to make sure we're going to have this little part in there. So let's grab this face again, we'll do I to inset, like that. And we're same as again. Let's grab half of it and delete half of it, like that. And then we're going to grab these vertices again, bring these into position. we're going to add a mirror modifier like that. Let's apply it. And then what we want to do, let's fill these by hitting F and fill. So what we can do here is let's Control R to add an edge loop, and then this becomes 4 as well, because we can use this one. Just make this into more of a cube. Again, we're still going to just delete half of it like that, just so we can make sure that everything's going to be perfectly symmetrical. Like that. And then we add a subdivision surface. See that it does round it all off nicely like that. Let's add our mirror back like that. And then we're going to apply. Because then if we were to generate subdivision surface, we've got that little bit where the can opening opens. I'm going to shade flat for a second. And what we're going to do is I'm going to hit fill, or let's do Q, grid fill. P to separate by selection. Because then what we can do is set origin to geometry onto the left, rotate it round like that, generate the division surface. Just because we want to make it look like it's been opened, I'm going to unisolate and rejoin these two bits together. So what I'm going to do is select both from Control J. I'm going to hide that reference image for a second. Now at the minute, we've joined it, but the vertices aren't joined, but they're overlapping because we haven't moved anything. So I press 1 to select them all and go to and merge by distance. Now we did a 32 vertices circle, so I'm going to undo that so you can see what happened. If I then press M, undo my distance, I'm going to undo my original merge. So those are separate. I'm going to select them both, Control J, tab to go to edit mode, 1 to select all the vertices, and merge by distance. See, it says at the bottom, remove 32 vertices. That means that this has been joined back together again. Generate subdivision like that. Now I do need to make sure that I add some supporting edges around the edge here. So we're going to do Control B. Like that. Generate subdivision surface, shade smooth. So that leaves you your can. I'm actually going to apply this one to make that nice and rounded. Give this a save. I'm going to isolate this for a second. 3A, and extrude along normal just to give it a little bit of thickness. And select all these edges. Like that. Control B. 0.2, well, a bit too much. 0.1. 0.05. How does that look? That looks more like it. See, we get that shape quite nicely there. I'm going to move that down just a little bit. GY, just move it up. And then what we want to do, so looking at CAM that I've got in front of me. So what we'll do, come to the top, give this a little save. So let's go Shift A. We're going to add another cylinder. Oh, to scale this all the way down. G, Y to bring into position. S, Z to make it really skinny. GZ. Something like that. Now we've scaled it, so Control A to apply alters and forms. sure we grab these edges, Control B to bevel. And remember, grid fill, so it's all got good topology, like that. Shift A, mesh, let's add a cube. Bring this into position. S, scale that down a little bit more. GY, just to make this sort of part here. Let's just round off these corners. Come to the top, Control B. Something like that. And much like before, I'm just going to sort out that this is all in quads. So just selecting the vertices and pressing J. Come to the top. Control R. Add a couple of loop cuts, sorry. 3. I'm going to grab those. I equals add circle. Right click. Bridge. Now it's twisted a little bit for some reason. Can we untwist that? Okay, so instead of that, delete those faces. To the top. I'm actually going to rotate this until it matches like that. There we go. Then what we can do is hit F to fill. Fill all the way around like that. Grab these edges. A random edge there. Let's dissolve that edge. There we go. Control B. Let's see how that looks. Generate subdivision surface. To the top. Scale that circle a little bit. Set the origin to geometry so it scales it in the middle. There you go. I'm going to save that. The last little thing to do then is that little ring pull, so I would just save that. Okay, so the last thing to finish off the can is the ring pull. So I'm going to come to the top view. We've got a reference image underneath, but I've actually got a slightly better one as well. So I'm going to Shift A, image, and reference. I'm going to bring in this one because I think that's going to be a little bit better, more realistic. So I'm actually going to isolate both of those for a second and just scale just this one. Let's bring the opacity down so we can see what it's going to look like scale wise. There we go. Okay, I'm going to hide that one. I'm going to unisolate that. Now we actually can bring that to the side, so we don't need GX. So what we'll do, let's go Shift A, mesh, and we're going to grab, let's do a plane. S to scale, GX to bring it over, S to scale to get the rough sort of size, GY, GY. Now, as before, we've scaled it, so Control A to apply transforms. Now what we're going to do is start adding some edge loops using Control R to be able to play around with the actual shape of it all. Let's delete half of it so we can just model one half. Bring into position. Now we do need a little bit of geometry here because we're going to have to cut some holes in. So let's bring back that. So select that, cursor to selected, select origin, 3D cursor, generate and mirror. And we're going to apply that. Okay, so what we want is to add some edges so that we can now grab those faces. So we've got those. And again, what we can start to do is move those into position a little bit. Much in the same way we did with the glasses. We did the same here as well. Control R. I might grab these faces. 3, I'm going to delete half of it like that. While I'm going back into vertex mode, just grabbing these to make sure it all matches as close as we can get it. Like that. We can then add back our mirror modifier, and I'm going to apply it. Let's generate subdivision surface. So you see we're starting to get that shape. We want to bring that in a little bit more. Same with this. That looks more like it. I'm going to apply that. 3AE to give a little bit of thickness. I'm going to get rid of that reference image there. So we're going to round off the top part. Like that. Let's do Control B to bevel. That looks quite good. We'll do the bottom bit is a little bit sharper. Making sure we get all the edges. Control B. Like that. If we then add a subdivision surface, how does it look? Looks good to me. Let's bring this over. GZ to bring up. Now realistically, because it's been pulled, let's scale it down a little bit. Set origin to geometry. It's going to be rotated a little bit. Just something like that. And then we're going to have this circle. There we go. GZ to bring up. Rotate it around a little bit. Bring it into position. Like that. And I'll do the same for this one as well. Rotate it. Just little adjustments just to make sure it's looking right. Move this down a little bit. Okay, so we've now got our can. Let's, as before, go to the front, Shift A. We're going to go to empty and grab a cube. S2, scale it down. Top, SY, SX. Select everything, then deselect and then reselect it. Control P to parent and keep transforms, so we can move that around. Come to the front. Bring this into position. Like that. Maybe move it over a little bit. GX. So we're going to stop there. So realistically, I'm trying to think, we've probably got, like, next video, we'll probably do a few like smaller models where we do like a jar, like cutting mat and knife, because those won't take a huge amount of time. But we're not far away from finishing the actual modeling side of things before we move on to texturing, lighting and rendering. So hopefully you're enjoying following along, and I will see you in the next video.